lecture, we had studied the nomenclature, methods of preparation and physical properties of haloalkenes. We had also seen the nature of the carbon-halogen bond, that is the CX bond. And from this lecture, in this lecture, we will be studying the chemical properties or the chemical reactions of haloalkenes. In the last lecture, we have seen that the carbon-halogen bond is polar in nature. That is, the more electronegative atom sharing the sigma bonded electrons, that are the halogen, draws the electron clouds towards itself and gains a partial negative charge, and carbon, as it is on a verge of losing its electrons, acquires or attains a partial positive charge. This leads to the nucleophilic and reactions of the haloalkenes. So to start off with the reactions, there are basically three types of reactions which we will be studying in the chemical properties of haloalkenes. That is, the chemical reactions or the chemical properties of haloalkenes can be categorized basically into three categories. The first one is the nucleophilic substitution reaction, second being the elimination reaction, and the third is the reaction with metals. So let's begin the things with the very first type, that is the nucleophilic substitution reaction. As the name suggests, nucleophilic substitution reaction. That is, the reaction is going to be the substitution by a nucleophile. We know that in haloalkenes we have an RX bond, or we have the carbon-halogen bond, which is polar in nature. Now we talk about this word nucleophilic. Nucleophiles are the electron-rich species. Substitution would be the more powerful or the stronger nucleophile will substitute the weaker nucleophile, and this is the nucleophilic substitution reactions, and it is going to be in the haloalkenes. So we have seen that the nucleophiles are those species which are electron rich, which have surplus amount of electrons. We have seen the examples of nucleophiles. Let's just recall them. There are neutral molecules like water, H2O, amines, ammonia, primary amines, secondary amines, tertiary amines. These are all the examples of neutral nucleophiles. That is, they do not possess any charge. On the other hand, we have charged nucleophiles. That is, they'll have a charge on them. They are halogens, obviously, Cl minus, Br minus, I minus, F minus. Then we have OH minus, hydroxide ion. These all are the charged nucleophiles. So when I talk about the substitution reaction in the haloalkenes, this is also a kind of nucleophile, that is Cl minus, Br minus and I minus. So how will this reaction be possible? If a stronger nucleophile attacks this particular reactant molecule, then there will be a substitution of a nucleophile by a nucleophile. We have seen that as the size of the atom increases down the group in halogens, the bond becomes less stable, that is, it can be easily broken down. So, in this bond, the group or the atom which leaves, that is this halogen, will take the shared pair of sigma electrons and would go off. sequence of leaving groups in halogens, I minus, Br minus, Cl minus, followed by F minus. That is, the Ri bond is very less stable. Hence, it can be easily broken. So, it will be a very good leaving group. That is, I minus would serve as a very good leaving group. The next type of reactions which we will be studying in would be the elimination reactions, and after that we will be dealing with the reaction with metals. So to start off with the nucleophilic substitution reaction, we must see that what are nucleophiles. Nucleophiles are the electron-rich species which we have. That is, they have electrons in a surplus amount, and they usually look for the centers which are electron deficient so that they can lend or they can give their electrons to them. When we talk about the nucleophile, they can be neutral, that is, they which do not have any kind of charge. They are water, we have H2O, NH3, we have amines, primary amines, secondary amines or tertiary amines. These are all an example of neutral nucleophile, that is, they do not possess any charges or they do not bear any charge. The next category is the charged nucleophiles, where we can see O minus, then halogens, I minus, Br minus, Cl minus, F minus. So in the nucleophilic substitution reaction, a strong nucleophile will substitute, that is, it will come on the place of a weaker nucleophile. So we need to know the nucleophiles in this. One more thing, we have seen in the CX bond that X is the leaving group, and I have already told you that weak bases serve as a very good leaving group. And right now we have seen the sequence that I minus, if it is attached over here, it will be a good leaving group as it has a less stable bond with the carbon. So back to the nucleophilic substitution reaction, it will follow two mechanisms, two distinct mechanisms. Few substitutions will be of SN1 category and few will be of SN2 category. Now what does this SN1 and SN2 mean? SN1, we have to read it backwards, that is unimolecular nucleophilic substitution reaction, bimolecular nucleophilic substitution reaction. Now why this unimolecular and bimolecular? When we will be studying the chapter kinetics, there will be an order of reaction, or we will be studying about the rate determining steps. In a reaction, the slowest step is known as the rate determining step of that particular reaction. And we study that the change of what kind of molecules and how many molecules have a change in their concentrations and how many molecules are participating in that. So in the rate determining step of SN1 reaction, there will be only one molecule which will be present and whose concentration would be subjected to a change. Whereas in a bimolecular nucleophilic substitution reaction, that is, the SN2 will have two molecules in the slow or the rate determining step. The mechanism would be dealt on after the finishing of the few reactions which we are studying. The first reaction or the first chemical reaction of haloalkanes is the ether synthesis, and it is the Williamson synthesis. This Williamson synthesis is for the preparations of ethers, that is ROR. So the first one is the Williamson synthesis, where we will prepare ethers, and ethers are ROR. We know that ethers are basically of two types. symmetrical ethers and asymmetrical ethers. Symmetrical ether means both these are or the alkyl groups would be the same. Example, CH3O, CH3, C2H5O, C2H5. This is an example of a symmetrical ether. If I talk about asymmetricals, they would be denoted by R, O, R dash. This R dash distincts this alkyl groups from this one. That is, it shows that this alkyl group is different from this one. So to take an example, we will have CH3O, C2H5. By this Williamson synthesis, we can prepare both symmetrical as well as the asymmetrical ethers. And now, how are we going to prepare that? For this, we need alko-oxides. Alko-oxides are very good agents for the preparations of these ethers by alkyl halides. So whenever we will react the alkyl halides with alko-oxides, be it sodium alko-oxide or potassium alko-oxide, we will obtain ethers. That is, when alkyl halides are reacted with alko-oxides, RONA, it can be sodium or potassium alko-oxide, and we will heat this, we will obtain ROR, that are our ethers, plus we will have NaX. If I take an example, we can take C2H5Cl, that is the ethyl chloride, plus C2H5ONa. This is the sodium alko-oxide or sodium etho oxide, because we have the ethyl group in there. We heat it and we will obtain a symmetrical ether, that is, both of these R's are the same. So we will have C2H5O, C2H5 plus NaCl. We can prepare symmetrical as well as asymmetrical ethers with this particular type of a reaction. The next reaction which we will be talking about is the substitution of halogen by cyanide group. That is the next chemical reaction, or the next chemical property which will be following the nucleophilic substitution reaction is the substitution of halogen by cyanide group, that is the CN group. So the next one is substitution by CN or the cyano group. When we talk about the replacement or the substitution, Cn minus is also a type of a nucleophile. We have seen that. When we react haloalkanes with potassium cyanide or sodium cyanide, then we will obtain alkyl cyanides. That is, this Cn group would get attached to the alkyl group. That is, when we react alkyl halides with, suppose, potassium cyanide, then we will obtain alkyl cyanides plus this K with that X. Okay, so here we can take any kind of alkyl group and we'll have to heat this. So it will again be an endothermic reaction. So let's take an example for this. Suppose we have CH3Br plus KCN. We will have methyl cyanide CH3Cn plus we have potassium bromide, that is KBr. Okay, so when we want to introduce the cyanide group, we will take the potassium cyanide or sodium cyanide and we will heat it with the alkyl halides and we will obtain alkyl cyanides in the reaction. The next reaction is the substitution by amino groups. Amine groups, that is NH. The compounds containing nitrogen are amines. So we'll have the next substitution by the amino group. Okay. So the next one is substitution by amino group. This reaction will also be useful or will also be used in the amines chapter. This is named as Hofmann ammonolysis. That is, its name is Hofmann ammonolysis. Okay, in the Hofmann ammonolysis method, we obtain a mixture of primary, secondary, tertiary and sometimes quaternary ammonium salts also. That is, when we substitute the halide group of alkyl halides by amino groups, that is when we perform ammonolysis reaction, we will be obtaining a mixture of primary amine salts, secondary amine, tertiary and quaternary ammonium salts. The reaction goes on as we will take an alcoholic solution of any kind of an amine. Suppose in the ammonolysis method, suppose we have the alcoholic solution of ammonia, that is, we use some kind of an alcohol for making this ammonia solution alcoholic. So we will use an ethyl alcohol in this. So we have an ethanoic solution of ammonia. So when I react my compound, that is C2H5Br with ammonia, that is NH3, in an alcoholic solution, that is ethyl alcohol C2H5OH, and I will heat it at 373 Kelvin. One hydrogen from this will react with Br, that is, we can write it as H, H and H. This Br will form a bond with this H and the remaining part of this amino group will attach to this C2H5. So we will obtain C2H5NH2 plus HBr. This is the primary amine. The structure will be this is the primary amine. Now for the second step, I will take the primary amine so formed, or as it is going to be a mixture of the compounds, the reaction will go on. So now the reaction will continue with C2H5NH2 plus we'll again use this because this is also a kind of amine group we are using. We'll again have C2H5Br in an alcoholic medium, C2H5OH. We'll again heat it and again the same thing will happen. This group will get attached to this. That is, now we will have we'll have NC2H5, then we'll have C2H5 again, and we'll have H. That is, we'll have C2 C2H5 twice NH plus HBr. This is the secondary amine. Now further we use this secondary amine with the ethyl alcohol, that is the ethanoic solution. We'll again heat that, and again this hydrogen will go off. So we'll also need this compound. Again it will be formed as, it will be now C2H5 thrice N plus HBr. This is the tertiary amine. So we can see that in the Hofmann ammonolysis method, we obtain a mixture of primary, secondary and tertiary amines in the reaction. The next is the mechanism of this nucleophilic substitution reaction. That is, now we are going to study the mechanism by which these reactions have moved further. We have already discussed that it is going to follow two types of mechanism, that is the SN1 and SN2 mechanism. So now we will study the mechanism of nucleophilic substitution reaction. It is going to follow SN1 and SN2 mechanism. In the SN1 mechanism, will have the formation of a carbocation as an intermediate. That is, when we talk about the SN1 reaction, the reaction will have the formation of an intermediate, and that intermediate is nothing else but a carbocation. So we'll start the reaction with, suppose I have this molecule. This Br will take the shared pair of electrons of this sigma bond, and it will leave the reaction and will form Br minus, and we will be left with CH3, and that too with a positive charge. That is, we have a methyl carbocation. This is the first step of the reaction, and it is a slow step. That is, this is the rate determining step of the reaction, and we have already studied that the rate determining step will decide the course of the reaction. This involves the concentration change of only one molecule, that is, only one molecule is involved in this reaction. So hence it is unimolecular reaction. In the next step, the nucleophile will attack this carbocation. So the second step will be the attack of nucleophile. We know that nucleophiles are electron-rich species, and they are always in the search of a center which is electron deficient, and carbocation is an electron deficient species. So it will attack this CH3 plus, and we will have the formation of the complex, which is the final product. So it takes two steps to complete the nucleophilic substitution reaction, that is SN1, unimolecular nucleophilic substitution reaction. It involves the formation of a reaction intermediate, that is the carbocation. But in the SN2 mechanism, there will not be any intermediate formed in the reaction, and it will be in a single step. That is, in one step only, the leaving group will leave the reactant, and at that particular step, the nucleophile will get attached. So here we will have the formation of a transition state from reactant to product, and it will proceed as, suppose we have this as our reactant. this will try to move out and the nucleophile would attack this carbon at the very same point. So we will have the formation of a transition state. That is, in this step we will see that bromine is trying to leave carbon and the nucleophile is trying to tag at the very same time. It is trying to get attached. So this is a transition state because here carbon is having a valency of 5. So this transition state is a very short span reaction. It will get over very quickly, and at the end of this transition state we will see that again nucleophile has got attached on the carbon and Br has left along with its electrons. So if we talk about the reactions SN1 and SN2, we can see that there are differences in the mechanism of the reactions. That is, there are some differences in SN1 and SN2 reaction. In the next lecture, we will start with the difference between these two mechanisms, that is SN1 and SN2. Because we have seen that in SN1 reaction, there is only one molecule whose concentration is changing. In SN2, the same single step is involved. That is, in SN1, only one molecule is there in the rate determining step, whereas in SN2, both the nucleophile and the reactant molecule are there. The second thing which we have seen is that SN1 has two steps. It is completed into two steps, whereas SN2 gets completed in one single step. So the two things, or the third point we can analyze is a transition state is formed in SN2, whereas in SN1 no transition state is formed. Another thing, that is SN1 reaction a carbocation is formed, but in SN2 no intermediate was formed. So till now we have seen four differences, and those are that SN1 will be completed in two steps, SN2 will be completed in one step. SN1 reaction will have the formation of a carbocation, that is a reaction intermediate, whereas SN2 will not have any intermediate formations. SN2 will have a transition state, whereas SN1 will not have any transition state. The detailed differentiation or the detailed comparison of SN1 and SN2 will be in the next lecture. So till then, stay home, stay safe.